Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a relationship where everything starts out great, but suddenly the person you're with starts pulling away? They stop texting as much, they become distant, and when you bring it up, they tell you everything's fine. But you can feel it. Something's off. If that sounds familiar, you might be dealing with an avoidant. And if he's doing these things, he's not just an avoidant, he's an avoidant in love. See, most people think avoidants don't care. That's a lie. Avoidants feel love just as deeply as anyone else. They just show it differently. And if you don't understand that, you'll misinterpret their behavior, get frustrated, and push them further away. But today, we're going to break it all down. I'm going to give you 6 undeniable signs that tell you an avoidant man loves you, so you can stop guessing and start understanding. An avoidant man experiences love differently from someone with a secure attachment style. While most people associate love with closeness, connection, and emotional availability, an avoidance instinct is to retreat when intimacy deepens. It's not because he doesn't care, and it's certainly not because he doesn't love you. In fact, paradoxically, the more he feels for you, the greater his impulse to pull away. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of an avoidant in love. And it's also the reason why so many people walk away from relationships with them, feeling confused, hurt, or even questioning whether they were ever truly loved at all. Avoidants develop these patterns early in life, often due to emotional neglect, inconsistent caregiving, or environments where vulnerability was either dismissed or punished. Because of this, they grow up believing that attachment comes with risk. That closeness inevitably leads to pain, rejection, or loss. So, as adults, when they start to feel deeply for someone, it activates a subconscious alarm that warns them. This is dangerous. Get out before you get hurt. It's not something they consciously decide. It's an ingrained survival mechanism that has been with them for years. At the start of the relationship, things might seem perfect. In fact, early on, an avoidant can be incredibly charming, engaging, and even affectionate. That's because, in the beginning, there's no real emotional threat. The relationship is still lighthearted, free from deep emotional demands, and they feel in control. But the moment they start feeling emotionally attached, when the relationship shifts from surface-level attraction to real intimacy, their instincts tell them to put up walls. This is when you'll notice the distance. You might stop texting as frequently. He may seem less enthusiastic about making plans. He might suddenly become more interested in work, hobbies, or spending time alone. At first, it might not be obvious, but over time, you'll feel his change. The mistake most people make in this situation is assuming he has lost interest. But this isn't about losing interest. It's about self-preservation. If you push for more closeness in this moment, he may retreat even further, not because he wants to leave, but because he doesn't know how to manage the fear that has surfaced. His emotions are conflicting. On one hand, he feels love for you, but on the other, he's terrified of what that means. The more emotionally invested he becomes, the more he feels the urge to withdraw. Because, in his mind, love is synonymous with potential pain. What makes this dynamic even more confusing is that he may not fully understand his own behavior. Many avoidants don't recognize that they're pulling away as a defense mechanism. To them, it might just feel like a need for space, a craving for independence, or a reaction to feeling overwhelmed. But underneath, it's fear of being vulnerable, fear of losing themselves in the relationship, and fear of the emotional discomfort that intimacy brings. Yet here's the key. When an avoidant truly loves you, he doesn't disappear completely. He might pull away, but he doesn't leave. This is the biggest sign that he's invested in you. If he didn't care, he would simply detach. But if he creates distance yet still stays connected in subtle ways, checking in, making an effort to see, and returning back. Understanding this behavior doesn't mean tolerating the love or settling for emotional needs. But it does mean recognizing that avoidance don't show up in a typical way. If you see the potential for this, you can respond with patience and understanding. In a space where you feel safe and slowly, and every time, that is valid. And a avoidant doesn't express his feelings the way most people do. You won't overwhelm you with words, like text messages, or deep emotional confessions. In fact, a moment where he feels emotionally naked. Avoidants don't like that feeling. They've spent years building defenses to protect themselves from it. They might even doubt their own emotions because they've been conditioned to suppress them. That's why they struggle with verbal expressions of love. But actions, that's where they speak loudest. If you pay attention, you notice the small ways he shows his love. Maybe he doesn't say, "I miss you," but he remembers your favorite coffee order and brings it to you without being asked. Maybe he doesn't verbalize how much you mean to him, but he fixes something in your home or car without hesitation. Maybe he doesn't initiate deep emotional conversations, but he listens carefully to the talk, remembering the little details you share. These are not random acts of kindness. These are his love letters to you. One of the biggest mistakes people make with avoidance is assuming that because they don't express love in a traditional way, they don't feel it deeply. That couldn't be further from the truth. Avoidants feel just as intensely as anyone else, if not more, but they don't externalize those feelings in an obvious way. Their instinct is to keep their emotions contained because expressing them feels like a loss of control. They show their love in a way that feels safe to them, through consistency, through responsibility, through quiet gestures of care. An avoidant man in love will prioritize your well-being, even if he never says it outright. He will be dependable in his own way. He may not shower you with verbal affirmations. He will protect you, support you, and make sure you're okay. If you ever need help, he will be there. Even if he struggles to say the words, "I'm here for you." If you pay close attention, you'll see his love in the way he makes sure you're taken care of, and the way he tries to be useful in your life, and the way he shows up, even when words fail. This can be frustrating if you're someone who needs verbal reassurance. It can feel like you're always guessing instead. But the truth is, an avoidant shows love in a way that is deeply intentional. He doesn't waste energy on people he doesn't care about. If he's making the effort, if he's staying present in your life, if he's going out of his way to do things for you, he's telling you he loves you more than way he wants to. What's important is learning to recognize his love language for what it is, instead of trying to force him into your life. It doesn't come naturally to you. That doesn't mean it does mean you're shifting yourself. Love isn't just about words, it's about actions, patterns, and everything. If you still there, you try, you show up for you in ways of love. That is his way to love. And once you see it, everything starts to make sense. And of all the men like these steps, it's just part of who he is. If you don't hear him say like this, you know that things are going well. You're connected, spending time together, and feeling close. And suddenly he pulls back. Maybe he stops texting as often. Maybe he seems less excited about plans. Or maybe he just disappears into his own world for a while. This can feel confusing and hurtful, especially if you're someone who equates closeness with constant communication and togetherness. But here's the truth. An avoidant taking space doesn't mean he doesn't care. In fact, the opposite is often true. He's taking space because he cares. For an avoidant, intimacy triggers a deep-seated fear. It's not that he doesn't love love. It's that love makes him feel vulnerable. And when he starts to feel too exposed, too emotionally entangled, his survival instinct kicks in. That instinct tells him he needs distance to protect himself, to regain control of his emotions, and to feel safe in them. It's not about punishing him or rejecting him. It's about self-preservation. His mind is wired to equate closeness with the potential for hurt, so he retreats to a place where he feels like he can breathe. But here's the crucial part. When an avoidant is truly in love, he always comes back. This is what separates an avoidant who is emotionally invested from one who is simply uninterested. A man who doesn't care will take space and never return. He'll use distance as an excuse. But a man who loves you will take his space and find his way back to you every time. It might not always be in the way you want or on the timeline you prefer, but if he's showing up consistently after his moments of withdrawal, that means you matter to him. Understanding this dynamic is key because it prevents unnecessary conflict. The natural response when someone pulls away is to chase them, to demand answers, or to try to pull them back in. But that approach backfires with an avoidant. The more you push, the more they feel trapped. the more they withdraw. They need to come back on their own terms and their own way. If you allow them that space without panicking, without making them feel guilty, they will start to trust the relationship more.